All right, so here it is. This chapter is so crucial as like the building block foundations for how to become a great presenter, because at the end of the day, your content is the content. Sometimes you're gonna love it, sometimes you may hate it, sometimes it's blah, but the reality is you can't let the content dictate the feeling that you put into your presentation and that other people get from it. Because passion transfer, as I talked about, is really just having that why fuel what it is you're doing. One of the greatest examples of this that I have ever seen in my life was this guy who was selling jacuzzis. So I was at a trade show with a group of people who sold at home shows, like fairs, things like that, very like kind of hardcore sales environment. And there was different speakers talking, and I was there with this company I used to work for. And this guy came up, young guy, about my age, and wearing all black, like the little half turtleneck thing, just like Steve Jobs. And I was kind of even laughing, like, oh, this guy thinks he's Steve Jobs. And he gets up there and boom, lights go off. And he's on stage, and he has a clicker somewhere, actually I can't even see it, or maybe it's timed, but all of a sudden behind him, boom, there's this black and white picture of a bunch of cavemen and cavewomen, right? Like old school, prehistoric times, sitting around this fire. And he starts talking about family. And he says, this is the first view of family, right? A bunch of prehistoric people sitting around a fire, whatever, communicating, talking, however they can. And as he starts talking about family, slowly but surely behind him, the images are changing. So they went from prehistoric time to kind of like, more like Old Testament kind of Bible looking times. Then it was, more like, the thousands, the mid-century. And every time, every picture that comes on is a bunch of people, a family sitting around either a fire, a table, having food, right? Like talking, conversing, and things kind of progress. And he's talking through the history of kind of civilization. And then all of a sudden he gets to this image, and the image is of a TV. And the TV is sitting in front of this family, and all of a sudden, for the first time, it's the first image, and it's a couch, right? It's a long couch, and it's flat, and it's facing this way. And every one of the family's sitting there looking at the TV, right? And they're talking and whatever. It's just like a video, but they're all looking at the TV, so they're kind of looking side to side, but they're not engaging. And then it starts going on. So that was a black and white image. Then it, kind of gets a little bit further, and then it's, and then it's people sitting around a color TV, and then it gets into the 90s, and all of a sudden, the 2000s, and now there's some phones, and then all of a sudden there's like smaller TVs and tablets, and then all of a sudden it gets to a scene. It's just a video, and the video is of a family sitting at the dinner table, right? Except for the kids playing video games, the daughter's on her phone, the dad's watching a TV in the other room on the news, the mom is looking at an iPad scrolling for something, there's food going around, no one is talking, right? They're all on their devices, they're totally disconnected. And all of a sudden the guy says, I'm not here to sell you a jacuzzi. And the image changes. And all of a sudden the image is of that same family out in their backyard in a jacuzzi, right? And guess what? There's no phones, there's no tablets, there's no TVs. It's the whole family sitting in a circle, just like when they were by the fire, millions of years earlier, right? Engaging, talking, laughing. And he says, I'm not here to sell you a jacuzzi. I'm here to get you your family back. And at the time, I remember I had, like, my kids were young, so they're a lot older now, but they were young. And I remember literally Googling, like, can I put a jacuzzi on my balcony in my condo, right, at the time? Because I was so like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my kids, their phones, their tablets, like whatever. And at the end of the day, what this guy managed to do was he took the passion he has for his family and family in general and love and compassion and like connectedness, and he wrapped it into his product. Whether he loves jacuzzi or not, who cares? Like, it didn't matter, right? There was so much transference of that passion. It was incredible. Best I've ever seen. And at the end of the day, like, that was what made the presentation so good. And so what I want you to do is I want you to come up with what that why is. Okay, so I want you to get a piece of paper and get a pen, and I want you to write down this exact statement. I'm gonna put it up here on the screen, okay? It's, who or what motivates you to become a better version of yourself? Who or what is making you become a better version of yourself? Why did you get this book? Why are you trying to be a better presenter? That question needs to be answered. So I want you to write that down. And then when you do, this is going to be the challenge. This is the real activity. I want you to take that statement and I want you to take your phone and put it in selfie view. And I want you to record a video of yourself saying into the camera on film exactly what your who or what is. What is that motivation? Okay? I want you to film it and then I want you to watch it. Here's the thing. You can't move on to the next chapter until you watch that video and you feel sincerely that you believe yourself. That you're like, wow, no, that is really what I care about. That's what's motivating me. And if it's not, shoot it again. And if you don't have something that's motivating you to become a better version of yourself, man, you probably got to go buy more books or do some more stuff or do some, some real deep digging spiritually, right? Because at the end of the day, there should be some passion behind getting better and improving. And knowing that is half the battle for everything else we're going to talk about.